There is a battlefield that most people never name, yet all of us walk through it every single day. It isn't marked by weapons or flags, but by thoughts, doubts, fears, and whispers. That battlefield is the mind. And more than anything outside of us, it is here that the course of life is shaped. The Stoics saw this with clarity. They understood that not every battle is fought with swords or shields. Many take place quietly, when you wake in the morning and face the weight of the day, when you lie awake at night reflecting on choices, and in every moment between, as the mind either steadies itself or gives in to confusion. Winning this inner war does not mean silencing your thoughts. It means guiding them. It means training your inner voice until it speaks with truth, courage, and virtue. The Stoics did not hide in theories. They lived in the thick of life's hardships, exile, betrayal, sickness, tyranny, and they practiced what they taught. Marcus Aurelius governed an empire while wrestling with his own restless mind each morning. Epictetus, once a slave and broken in body, became a teacher of resilience. Seneca counseled emperors while reminding himself daily of death and impermanence. For them, philosophy was not an escape, but a kind of armor. Mental discipline was not luxury, it was survival. To win the battle in your mind is not to erase hardship, it is to rise above it, to bring order where there could be chaos, to make the mind a companion instead of an adversary. So we begin. Chapter 1. Understanding the enemy, your thoughts. Before any battle, you must first recognize what you are facing. In this case, the enemy often appears as your own voice, the critic, the anxious whisper, the replay of regrets, the fear of what lies ahead. The Stoics did not seek to erase these thoughts. They sought to meet them directly. They understood that thoughts are not commands, they are impressions, and impressions can be tested. When fear shows itself, the untrained mind reacts and runs. But the Stoic mind pauses. It asks, is this true? Is this useful? Is this within my control? That final question, control, was for the Stoics the line that separated bondage from freedom. What lies within your control? Your thoughts, your responses, your values. Beyond that, outcomes, opinions, the past, these belong to the external world. Each day brings countless chances to practice this distinction. A harsh message arrives and the first thought appears, they don't respect me. But the Stoic pauses and asks instead, what is truly within my power here? The answer is always the same, my response. You are not your thoughts. You are their observer, their examiner, their guide. You decide which ones to nurture and which ones to release. Not every thought deserves your attention. They are visitors, not rulers. Some arrive carrying wisdom, others confusion. Some build, others tear down. Your task is to choose which remain at your table and which are shown the door. This act of discernment is where freedom begins, not in controlling the outside world, but in mastering your own inner space. The Stoic does not accept every voice in the mind as truth. They question, they weigh, and when necessary, they let silence replace noise. They do not mistake emotion for reality, nor fear for certainty. Like a calm leader surveying a field, the Stoic looks at the flow of thoughts and decides with clarity, this one stays, that one goes. The struggle is not about stopping thoughts from coming. It is about refusing to be ruled by those unworthy of trust. Even the sharpest, most painful thought loses its power when examined with patience. Think of your mind as a fortress. Its strength is not in keeping all intruders out, but in choosing wisely who is allowed within. Every thought is like a traveler seeking entry. The Stoic places a quiet guard at the gate, not with anger, but with attention. Each thought is asked, are you guided by reason? Do you align with virtue? Are you here to serve or to distract? Many fail this test. Most are noise disguised as urgency, or fear pretending to be fact. The more often you pause to question your thoughts, the stronger your discernment becomes. It is like strengthening a muscle. The more you train it, the steadier it becomes. With practice, the mind learns to recognize the difference between what deserves attention and what can be released. Clarity is not given, it is earned. The untrained mind accepts everything, chasing each impulse as if it were truth. It drifts, carried by every wave of emotion or suggestion. The trained mind, however, learns to recognize illusions for what they are. Fears dressed as logic, projections mistaken for reality. Some thoughts need no response at all. Others require patient examination, taken apart carefully until they lose their hold. Only a rare few are worthy of being kept, those aligned with virtue, reality, and your higher purpose. This is not easy work. It requires stillness. It requires attention. It asks you to stop being ruled by mental habits and begin shaping the inner world with intention. You are the gatekeeper, the judge, the builder and protector. You decide what remains and what is released. With consistency, this practice transforms not only thought, but life. Actions begin to reflect values. Words become deliberate. Choices arise from principle, not pressure. You start to see more clearly. People not through envy or projection, but through patience and compassion. Events not as curses, but as challenges. Pain not as punishment, but as a forge. Slowly, the inner struggle begins to shift. The victory is not loud, nor is it over others. It is quiet and steady, a triumph within. Not to dominate, but to discern. Not to impress, but to improve. This is the true battlefield, and it is here, in silence and steadiness, that your greatest strength is built. Begin simply. Each morning, observe your thoughts without judgment. Write them down. Ask, are they born of fear or of clarity? Do they concern what is within my control or not? Practice this for a week. You may be surprised at how many thoughts are borrowed fears or unexamined echoes. Learn to notice before you believe. Chapter 2. Training the Inner Voice. If thoughts are the battlefield, then the voice you choose to listen to is the tool you carry with you into every encounter. It is not merely commentary. It becomes instruction. It shapes the direction of the mind, deciding whether your inner world holds steady or falls into disorder. When this voice is left undisciplined, it bends to every passing emotion. It retreats in the face of difficulty. It echoes fear, frustration, and noise. But when it is cultivated with reason, anchored in reflection and virtue, it becomes a compass. It calms storms before they overtake you. It brings you back to what is true when fear tries to lead you astray. The Stoics saw this inner voice as a responsibility, not an accident. It was something to be shaped with care, like a garden tended daily or a blade sharpened with patience. They strengthened it through practices that were simple but consistent: journaling, honest self-examination, deliberate restraint, and the repetition of principle. These were not abstract exercises. They were daily acts of preparation. Each morning, they rehearsed how they would meet the trials of the day. Each evening, they looked back and measured their responses. Through this rhythm, their inner voice grew steady, clear, consistent, and aligned not with ego, but with virtue. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations stands as a record of this work. It was not written for others. It was written as a reminder to himself. One man, alone with his thoughts, sharpening the voice within, so that it would not betray him when life tested him. His words, "Don't waste what remains of your life worrying about the opinions of others," were not advice to the world. They were instructions to his own soul. He was shaping the voice that could hold firm when temptation whispered, that could remain calm when despair appeared, that could answer fear, not with panic, but but with stillness. This is the essence of training the inner voice, not filling it with noise, but grounding it in reflection. Not trying to control everything outside of you, but shaping the way you speak to yourself about what happens. The world around you will always try to influence this voice, not always with force, but often with subtlety, through persuasion, through fashion, through borrowed measures of success and status. If you are not careful, your compass can be replaced with a billboard. But with practice, the inner voice becomes your guard against this. A steady reminder of what is real, what is within your power, and what is worth your life's energy. Advertisements will whisper that you are incomplete without what they sell. Screens will flood you with polished images, curated moments, and carefully edited smiles, each one designed to stir envy and quietly plant doubt. Comparison becomes a habit, easy to pick up, difficult to put down. What you see online is rarely life itself. It is the illusion of life, the highlight without the hardship, the victory without the failures that made it possible. When you take in these illusions long enough, your own inner voice can begin to echo them. It starts to say, "You should be further ahead. You are falling behind. Everyone else has it figured out." And slowly, that voice, the one that should belong to you, begins to sound like someone else's. Even those closest to you, friends, family, mentors, may unintentionally project their fears, their regrets, their limitations onto you. Sometimes from love, sometimes from pain. The effect is the same. Your voice, if left unguarded, is reshaped by the world. If you do not guide your inner voice, it will be guided for you. If you do not ground it in principle, it will be carried by noise. If you do not teach it to speak in truth, the world will train it to speak in fear. And when that happens, the destination is predictable: confusion, anxiety, and a growing distance from your true self. The Stoic resists this drift, not out of indifference to the world, but out of loyalty to their own inner law. They do not chase the loudest voice. They seek the clearest one. They do not measure themselves by the shifting approval of others, but by the steadiness of their own reason. Each day they work to peel away illusions like mist lifting, to reveal the mountain beneath. They ask with honesty, "What do I truly stand for? What is within my control today? What matters enough to keep and what must be released? What beliefs have I borrowed that no longer serve me?" These questions are not small. They are chisels. Each one shapes the voice within, carving it into something steady, reliable, and unshakable. That inner voice then becomes a shield, not a shield against physical harm, but against something quieter and more dangerous: the slow erosion of self through unconscious conformity. It protects your identity, your values, and your direction. Your inner voice is your closest companion. You live with it every hour, every moment. It comments on your choices. It shapes how you see yourself. And over time, it either strengthens you or weakens you. You will hear it more than anyone else's. So make sure it speaks with clarity, not with noise, with truth, not with fear. Let it guide you toward a life that is truly your own, not one built on the borrowed expectations of others. Make sure your inner voice honors the person you are becoming, not the person others expect you to be. Let it lead you not into panic or vanity, but into peace, purpose, and principle. A simple morning ritual can help you train this voice before the world tries to shape it for you. Choose one Stoic quote that brings clarity and one personal value you want to live by today. Sit with them in silence for 5 minutes. Speak them aloud. Then write a single grounding sentence that begins, "Today, I choose to," and finish it with a virtue such as courage, patience, discipline, justice, or humility. Return to this practice daily. Over time, it becomes a compass. Your mind begins to echo your standards. It remembers who it serves, not chaos, not culture, but the self that is rooted in principle. Chapter 3. Respond, don't react. The untrained mind reacts, pulled by impulse, like a wild horse led in every direction. The trained mind responds. It notices the impulse, pauses, and chooses. This difference is at the heart of Stoic practice. To react is automatic, a sharp retort, an angry message, a door slammed in haste. To respond is deliberate, guided by principle, examined before expressed. The Stoic does not avoid emotion, but governs it. They allow feelings to arise without surrendering the reins. As Epictetus reminded us, you may not control events, but you can control your attitude toward them. This is not simply comfort. It is the foundation of self-mastery. Responding is different from reacting. Responding is deliberate. It is patient. It is filtered through reason. It creates a quiet space between the spark and the flame, between the event and your choice. When insulted, the reactive mind rushes to defend itself. It seeks to strike back, to prove something, to protect pride. The Stoic mind pauses. It asks, what exactly has been harmed here? My ego or my essence? Does this truly injure me, or does it reveal more about the other than about me? Seneca called anger a kind of brief madness. He warned that no choice made in its grip could ever be wise. And he was right. Anger clouds judgment. It pulls you away from your values and into a spiral where ego takes the place of principle. Life sends its arrows, harsh words, unfair delays, betrayals that cut deeper because they come from those close to you. These arrows are not always physical. Sometimes they appear as subtle disrespect, quiet dismissals, or expectations never spoken but always felt. The Stoic does not waste energy trying to dodge every arrow. The victory lies in learning how to carry them with composure, without letting them distort who you are, to absorb without bitterness, to continue forward, even wounded, with head steady and mind clear. You win not by reflecting harm back into the world, but by transforming it into patience and perspective. Reaction makes you a puppet, easily pulled by every insult, every inconvenience, every slight. It ties your peace to the chaos of others. Response makes you free. It is the act of taking the strings back into your own hands. And mastery begins with awareness. It begins the moment you notice the gap between what happens and your first impulse. In that small pause lies real power. Even a single breath held in awareness is enough to reclaim your sovereignty. That pause is the doorway to freedom. To respond well, the mind must slow down. It must interrupt the automatic story that rises in the heat of the moment. It must give itself distance so that when the choice is made, it comes not from impulse, but from principle. This is the mark of a Stoic mind. It does not rush. It makes room for space. In that space, you return to your values, to your philosophy, to the standards you have chosen for yourself. Most importantly, you return to the vision of the person you are striving to become. You ask, am I acting from courage or bending to fear? Am I holding to the discipline I claim to value or being carried by emotion? Do I want to fuel this moment or rise above it? The pause is not weakness. It is strength in its most refined form. It is where ego loosens and principle takes its place. It is where your better nature regains control from impulse. The world teaches us to react quickly, to defend ourselves loudly, to meet fire with fire. Stoicism teaches something else, to resist urgency, to pause, to choose deliberately. In a world that thrives on reaction, the one who can respond with clarity and purpose becomes rare and powerful. They are not tossed by every emotional wave. They steer even when the storm rages. So practice the pause. Treat it as sacred. When your pulse quickens, when your jaw tightens, when your words are ready to sharpen, Take 10 seconds, not as a trick, but as a ritual. In those 10 seconds, breathe, reflect. Ask yourself, what would the best version of me do here? What would the Stoic do? Not to appear virtuous, but to be virtuous. Imagine yourself as a philosopher king or queen, not seated on a throne of ego, but on a throne of reason. You are not here to win an argument. You are here to win back your soul. Each evening, take time to journal the moments when you reacted. Write them down without judgment, then rewrite them as they could have been. Calm, steady, aligned with virtue. Not as a performance, but as practice. This is how you forge new reflexes. Review these notes each week. With time, the pause will become instinct. Response will become your default. And that response, repeated, becomes your character. The character of someone who has begun to win the inner war. Chapter 4. Endurance is victory. Victory of the mind is not won in a single day. It is earned in repetition, in persistence, in the quiet battles won when no one is watching. In the moments where quitting would be easier, but integrity whispers, keep going. The Stoics did not confuse strength with ease. To them, strength was endurance. To endure is to remain grounded when the ground beneath you shakes. To persist, not because it is simple, but because it is right. Marcus Aurelius wrote through plague, through war, through betrayal. His empire was in turmoil, his health failing, his closest circle filled with shadows. And yet, in the midst of this, he turned not to despair, but to discipline. And yet, each morning, Marcus reminded himself to rise and meet the day. He did not retreat into comfort nor hide behind his crown. He faced disorder with discipline and chaos with calm. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These were not mere words to him. They were survival. He endured not by evading resistance, but by transforming resistance into strength. Mental endurance is this: to continue when desire fades, to act from duty rather than mood, to uphold what is right even when emotion pleads otherwise, to return to your commitments after motivation has disappeared. It is the refusal to abandon your post, your promise, or your principles, especially when doing so would be easier. Endurance is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is the long march through repetition, through unseen failures, through fatigue and doubt. It is the discipline of standing your ground not once, but again and again, when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, and unnoticed. Each step is a seed planted, invisible today, but strengthening the roots of your character. The world teaches that rest must be earned through achievement, applause, or accumulation. It tells you to strive without pause, to grind until some imagined arrival point. Only then, it says, may you breathe. The Stoics rejected this bargain. They knew rest is not found at the finish line. It is found in alignment, when your actions reflect your values. Rest is not an external reward. It is an internal state. It is the quiet ease of a day lived honestly, the calm that follows a just decision, the peace that lingers after a steady step in the right direction. Rest does not wait at the end of the path. It is present in the very act of walking with integrity. And so, the true battle of the mind is not against others, but within. Will you hold to your principles when pressure rises? Will you protect your calm when insulted? Will you keep your discipline when weary? Or will you trade long-term strength for short-term relief? These are not abstract questions. They are daily choices, and each choice builds the person you are becoming. These are real crossroads you encounter every day, often without noticing them. A traffic delay, a cutting remark, an unexpected disappointment. Each moment asks something simple yet profound. Will you remain true to your standard or surrender it for temporary ease? The answer is not in the circumstances themselves, but in the steadiness of your mind. Discipline is not reactionary. It is repeated choice. Calm is not accidental. It is cultivated and protected. The Stoic does not seek an easy life. They seek a resilient one, a mind that does not crumble when challenges arise, but grows sharper, more grounded, and more honorable. A resilient mind endures adversity not through force or stubbornness, but with quiet resolve. It recognizes difficulty and meets it with balance. It knows when to yield and when to stand firm. It holds the line out of principle, not pride. And true strength, the Stoics taught, is revealed not in the applause of others, but in the quiet moments when no one is watching. When you choose the harder right over the easier wrong. Endurance is not merely surviving hardship. It is living with virtue amidst it. It is showing up to life with dignity, even when life does not reward you. It is returning after failure, not for recognition, but because your values compel it. It is maintaining your code when tested, tired, or torn. When the world offers an easier path, endurance whispers, "I will stay the course." This path is not glamorous. There are no trophies for unseen victories. Yet it is rare, and rare is powerful. Those who endure with clarity and purpose build unbreakable minds, untouchable spirits, and lives that quietly echo with strength. They are remembered not for noise, but for substance, not for how they started, but for how they remained steadfast, not for what they endured, but for who they stayed through it all. Start simply. Choose one discipline to practice daily for 30 days. It might be journaling, a cold shower, a morning walk without distractions, or a daily reading from meditations. The act itself need not be dramatic. It does not need to be grand. It only needs to be consistent. Whatever practice you choose, let it stretch your will and align with your highest values. Do not select what looks impressive. Choose what builds resilience. Track your progress not just with checkboxes, but with brief daily reflections. Ask yourself, how did I feel before? How do I feel now? What resistance appeared and how did I meet it? This reflection becomes a mirror for your growth. Do it especially on the days you do not feel like it. Those are the days that matter most. When your mind protests, when comfort and excuses shout louder than purpose. Anyone can be disciplined when it is easy, when motivation is high, when conditions are perfect. Real growth emerges when you persist despite resistance. When you uphold your commitments in the face of discomfort, fatigue, or distraction, that is where the seeds of endurance are planted. Every act of follow-through reinforces the message, "I am in command." Over time, that command becomes silent strength. Discipline is not about perfection. It is about returning again and again, despite imperfection. Even if your effort is short, flawed, or incomplete, let the commitment remain alive. Let your standard guide you, not your mood. Endurance is forged in these quiet, invisible efforts. It is in the repetition, the persistence, and the ordinary consistency of showing up. Not in perfect days, but in persistent ones that stack day after day, begin to shift your character at the core. Transformation grows not in grand gestures, but in the steady devotion of someone determined to be better than yesterday. In every choice, every moment, every act of presence. That is where the Stoic is born, not in comfort, but in effort. Chapter 5. Silence. The noise. Strengthen the signal. Victory of the mind requires clarity. Yet clarity is rare in a world full of noise. A world addicted to attention, obsessed with speed, and allergic to stillness. Distractions are no longer only on your phone. They live in the invisible pull of habits, fears, and unexamined assumptions absorbed without thought. They are not just digital, they are spiritual. Each time you compare yourself to another's curated success, your inner signal clouds. Each time you seek approval, your identity blurs. Each time you trade solitude for constant stimulation, perception dulls. The Stoics understood this clearly. The quieter the mind, the louder wisdom speaks. But quiet must be cultivated. Epictetus taught that we must distinguish between what appears to us and what actually is, a foundational Stoic practice. He warned against false impressions, illusions disguised as truth that lead us away from reality. Status, wealth, applause. These are shadows on the wall, not measures of a fulfilled life. Don't explain your philosophy, he said. Embody it. What does this mean today? Do not boast about discipline. Practice it. Do not speak of peace. Live it. Do not crave understanding. Cultivate self-understanding. Embodiment begins not only in action, but in deliberately silencing the noise. Only when false signals fall away can your true compass emerge. To hear that inner signal, you must sometimes step back, detach, and retreat. Not from life, but from illusion. Not from people, but from personas. The modern world thrives on urgency. It shouts, hurry, react, catch up. The Stoic, however, walk slowly. They speak only when necessary. They do not scatter their attention. They give full presence to each moment. This slowness is not laziness. It is quiet resistance against frenzy. It is deliberate intention over reactive impulse. The signal of wisdom does not roar. It hums beneath the surface, waiting for stillness to be heard. Take a walk without headphones, not to consume, but to notice the wind, the sky, your breath. These are signals too. Sit without a screen and allow the discomfort of stillness to teach you. Notice how loud the world really is, how often you are pulled, pinged, persuaded. And then notice the power of your own mind when you stop feeding the chaos. In that silence, a new frequency arises, not born from trends, but from truth. This is where Stoic strength is cultivated, not in public display, but in private clarity. Set aside 1 hour per day as a noise-free zone. No news, no phone, no music. In that hour, walk, read Stoic passages, or simply observe your surroundings. Let the silence stretch. Journal your clearest thoughts. Over time, the signal of reason grows stronger, and your decisions flow no longer from panic, but from calm and clarity. Chapter 6. Discipline over mood. There will be days when motivation vanishes like morning mist, fading the moment it touches discomfort. Days when your will feels weak, your body tired, your mind foggy. Days when everything inside whispers, skip today. The temptation on those days is to delay, to justify inaction, to wait until you feel ready again. The untrained see this lull as a reason to stop, believing effort only matters when it is easy. The Stoic sees it differently. They recognize these moments of lowest drive as the most potent opportunities to act. Discipline is not a mood. It is a muscle. It grows stronger precisely when you exercise it, despite fatigue, distraction, or resistance. It is built in the small, steady acts of commitment, the moments you choose action over convenience, principle over feeling. Discipline is not a sensation. It is a structure. It does not depend on feelings. It is forged precisely in their absence. It is not something to wait for. It is something you build, moment by moment, through intentional acts, especially when it feels furthest from reach. The Stoics knew that the path to peace and progress is paved through consistency, not intensity. Excellence is not found in grand gestures or fleeting brilliance. It is the slow, steady accumulation of disciplined action, the compound effect of countless small, deliberate efforts carried out without fanfare. Anyone can act when conditions are favorable. When the sky is clear, the heart is light, and inspiration flows freely. The Stoic rises even when the internal weather is stormy, when clouds of doubt gather and winds of fatigue howl. They understand that greatness is not born from bursts of effort, but from repeated acts of quiet strength practiced when no one is watching. True mastery is not built in public. It is carved in silence, forged in obscurity, and polished through repetition. They are not guided by moods. They act according to belief. They serve the value of the moment, not the fleeting emotion of the hour. This is what makes them rare. When others yield to impulses or moods, the Stoic holds the line. When the world praises talent, they return to habit. They move not at the pace of comfort, but at the pace of principle. Each day, they return to their post, like a watchman loyal not to ease, but to duty. Like a craftsman refining his art long after the applause has faded, their effort is never a performance. It is a practice, a commitment, a quiet demonstration of inner mastery. Discipline is a way of life. Each repetition, though unseen, strengthens character. Each unnoticed act speaks quietly to the soul. I can be counted on. Discipline is not harshness. It is devotion. A sacred form of love. Love for your future self, for your purpose, for the standard that gives your life shape and direction. It is the tender yet powerful act of choosing structure because you honor your purpose. It is the silent pledge made when no one is watching, a contract signed in solitude and honored in silence. It is saying no to the trivial so you can say yes to the enduring. It is aligning your behavior not with impulses, but with values. Discipline is the inner architecture that holds you upright amid chaos. Like a lighthouse, it does not control the waves, but it stays lit in spite of them. And like any real discipline, it is forged in the small, invisible choices. Rising with the alarm when you would rather stay in bed. Completing tasks even when interest fades. Showing up to the page, the gym, the work, or the quiet practices that matter most. Especially on the days when energy feels absent and clarity seems distant. These moments build the unseen scaffolding of character. They are bricks in the foundation of a strong mind. They prove that you are not defined by your feelings. You are defined by your actions. Each choice, however small, contributes to the structure that makes you unshakable. These are deposits into the spiritual bank of inner wealth. A Stoic does not ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask, "Is it right?" And when the answer is yes, they act. Not later, not after motivation returns, not when conditions improve, but now, with what they have, where they are. They understand a profound truth. The smallest step taken with integrity is stronger than the greatest idea delayed by hesitation. Every act of disciplined effort is a vote for the person they are becoming. Every quiet moment of persistence, every gentle refusal to yield, adds another layer of inner armor. Each time they rise despite resistance, they are not merely acting. They are transforming. They are shaping themselves into someone dependable, principled, immovable. Slowly, steadily, unshakably, they are winning the war within, and doing so with a quiet strength the world may never witness, but they themselves will never forget. True power is not measured by applause. It is measured by the unwavering truth that you showed up when it was hardest, that you stood firm when retreat would have been easier, and that you earned your own respect, moment by moment. Begin by making a list of your non-negotiables, the actions you commit to each day to honor your values and remain grounded in what matters most. These are not chores. They are pledges to your clarity, your strength, and your integrity. It might be 15 minutes of exercise to move with intention, 10 minutes of reading to nourish the mind, 15 minutes of journaling to untangle your thoughts, or keeping a promise to yourself even when it is inconvenient. Non-negotiables are built on consistency, not intensity. They are the pillars that uphold your daily integrity. Review this list each night, not to judge yourself, but to reconnect with your path. Ask honestly, did I keep my word to myself today? Where did I hesitate? Where did I follow through? Let this be a measure, not a punishment. Discipline is alignment, not shame. It is not about perfection, but presence. Showing up faithfully, committing to your standards, and being true to yourself. Small acts repeated consistently become a compass. Over time, these non-negotiables transform into anchors. When life feels uncertain, they steady you. When emotions rise, they center you. When energy fades, they remind you that true strength is ethical, not just physical. Show up for your future self today, not only in grand decisions, but in the small daily rituals that shape who you are becoming. This is the Stoic way, living each day as a sacred vow to your best self. Chapter 7. The Power of Perception. The mind is not only a battlefield, it is also a lens. Everything you experience is filtered through perception. Two people may face the same hardship and walk away with entirely different realities. One sees injustice, the other sees opportunity to grow. One breaks, the other bends and becomes stronger. This difference is not in the circumstances, but in the perspective. The Stoics recognize that perception is the most powerful tool in the war for your mind, because how you see determines how you act. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment." The Stoic understands that events themselves are neutral. It is your interpretation that assigns them weight. Perception is the first act of power. Without it, everything else slips beyond your reach. You cannot always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose the lens through which you view them. This does not mean deceiving yourself or pretending everything is fine. It means seeing clearly without distortion. When a door closes, ask, "What door has this opened within me?" When someone fails you, ask, "What virtue does this moment call for?" Patience, forgiveness, detachment. The Stoic uses perception to draw strength from setbacks and wisdom from pain. The mind naturally offers interpretations, often laced with fear, shame, or judgment. The untrained mind accepts the first story it tells. The Stoic mind pauses and interrogates that story. Is it true? Is it useful? Does it align with virtue? This discipline of reframing is not delusion. It is training. It is the difference between sinking in difficulty and rising through it. When something challenging occurs, pause and write two interpretations: the emotional reaction and the Stoic lens. Compare them. Which one leads to action? Which one leads to victimhood? Practice this daily. Over time, your perception will bend naturally toward wisdom, not weakness. Difficulty will still come, but you will never be blinded by it again. Chapter 8. The Art of Letting Go. The Stoics taught that much suffering springs not from events, but from attachment. Attachment not to people, but to the illusion of control. We suffer not because life happens, but because we expect it not to. Resisting what is only generates torment. Letting go is not weakness, it is courage. It is saying, "I will not be ruled by what is beyond me." Epictetus reminded us, some things are up to us and some are not. That distinction is the Stoic compass. It points towards serenity. It reminds us to focus our energy where it matters: our thoughts, our actions, our character. It teaches us to release what we cannot command: the opinions of others, the outcomes of plans, the passage of time. Letting go is not indifference. It is clarity. It is withdrawing your energy from what you cannot shape and investing it fully in what you can. It means saying, "I will give my best, but I will not be defined by the result." To let go is to release what was never yours to hold. Control over others, over fortune, over the unpredictable waves of life. The Stoic lets go, not out of indifference, but out of wisdom. They do not carry what they were never meant to bear. They grieve losses without being consumed by them. They feel pain without letting it harden their hearts. They release outcomes, not because they do not care, but because they care deeply about what is truly theirs to shape: their virtue, their integrity, their inner peace. Each night, write down what you attempted to control that was beyond your reach. Then write what you could have controlled instead. This simple exercise trains the mind to let go of illusions and return to the seat of genuine power. Practice it daily, and over time, resistance softens and peace takes its place. Chapter 9. Stillness is strength. In a world addicted to noise, stillness has become an act of rebellion. The average mind is overstimulated, alert after alert, judgment after judgment, distraction upon distraction. The Stoic mind, by contrast, seeks silence, not to hide, but to gain power. Stillness is not idleness. It is clarity in motion. It is the ability to remain unmoved when the world urges you to react. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire in chaos, yet he wrote calmly about justice, patience, and inner discipline. That is the paradox. The man with the greatest external authority sought the deepest internal calm. Because the greater the responsibility, the more essential it is to remain grounded. Stillness creates space to think, to reflect, to choose deliberately rather than impulsively. It is the quiet strength that allows action to be guided by reason instead of reaction. Without stillness, you are at the mercy of every impulse, every trigger. With it, you are sovereign over your mind. The Stoics cultivated stillness by stepping back from urgency. They anchored themselves in the present. They slowed the racing mind, reflected before acting, and discovered power not in haste, but in intention. True strength, they taught, is composed, measured, unshaken. It does not panic. It prepares instead of rushing. It does not seek applause. It listens for truth. Stillness is the soil from which wisdom grows. When you are still, clarity emerges. You hear your own conscience. You act from virtue rather than ego. And above all, stillness restores. It reconnects you to the part of yourself that is rooted, deliberate, and unwavering. Carve out 10 minutes each day for complete stillness. No phone, no noise, just breath, awareness, and quiet observation. Let thoughts rise and fall without judgment. This practice is not retreat. It is training. It is the daily reminder of who leads and what matters most. Chapter 10. Mastery through repetition. Repetition is the forge where excellence is shaped. It is the silent sculptor of character, the invisible hand guiding habits, responses, and identity. The Stoics did not rely on sudden transformations. They trusted in deliberate practice, repeated day after day, until right thinking became instinct and wise action became automatic. There is no magic switch, no instant evolution. Mastery is not found in occasional brilliance, but in patient, persistent labor, showing up even when the world feels unchanged. Seneca wrote, "We become what we repeatedly do." Repetition is not merely for the body. It is the hidden training ground of the soul. Each time you choose values over impulses, each time you resist distraction and return to presence, each time you pause instead of react, you are not just performing an action. You are training a trait. You are shaping the mind you will inhabit, one deliberate choice at a time. Each deliberate action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Each choice lays a smoother path for your future self. You are constructing your character brick by brick, from the inside out. And though these bricks may seem small, when placed with patience, intention, and care, they form a foundation no force can shake. Repetition is rarely glamorous. It is quiet. It is often unnoticed. It lacks excitement, novelty, or the rush of immediate reward. It defies our craving for dramatic change and our addiction to instant gratification. Yet it is precisely this humility, this invisibility, that gives it enduring power. True mastery is not born from flashes of inspiration, but from the slow, steady hand of consistent practice. The work done in silence resonates the loudest over time. The Stoic does not seek to be entertained by the process. They seek to be refined by it. They understand that growth is rarely obvious in the moment, but unmistakable in retrospect. Progress often whispers before it roars, and reflection is where we perceive its quiet force. When you rise and read a Stoic passage, the shift may not be immediate. Your mind may feel dull, distracted, or impatient. Persist for 30 days, and subtle changes begin. Persist for a year, and your reactions, thoughts, and habits transform. You respond with calm where you once lashed out. You pause with clarity where you once stumbled. Repetition is how the mind sheds weakness and embraces strength. It is how the automatic becomes deliberate. It is how virtue ceases to be a distant goal and becomes woven into the very fabric of your being. Repetition is how you win, not once, but consistently. It is the unseen thread connecting daily choices to the person you are becoming. You do not need to conquer life in a single day. You only need to show up again and again, patiently, intentionally, and without fanfare. You don't need grand victories to become strong. You only need to rise again, commit again, and refine again. Each time you choose principle over impulse, you win a battle invisible to others but etched into your soul. These quiet victories accumulate until they shape you into someone unmistakably disciplined, resilient, and wise. In a world obsessed with speed, the Stoic honors steady direction, because direction, not velocity, determines destination. In a culture that idolizes instant results and viral triumphs, the Stoic knows that what endures is built slowly, humbly, and consistently. The Stoic is never unsettled by slow progress. They are unsettled only by inconsistency. They understand that repetition is the rehearsal of greatness. Each morning routine, each quiet choice, each restraint, each act of integrity is more than a task. It is a sharpening, a refining, a rising. Mastery is found not in rare moments of brilliance, but in the daily commitment to rise, repeat, and embody quiet, disciplined power. This is how the Stoic wins, not with noise, but with consistency, not in flashes, but in foundations, not once, but always. Choose one practice, a meditation, a phrase, or a daily challenge, and commit to it for 30 days. Make it simple, yet meaningful. Something you can return to daily with purpose, without resistance. Perhaps it is reciting a Stoic principle each morning, like Amor Fati or Memento Mori. Perhaps it is recording one thing each day you cannot control and one thing you can. Perhaps it is committing to one small act of temperance or discipline each evening, regardless of circumstance. Let this practice become a thread, weaving consistency, focus, and integrity into the fabric of your day. Track your effort not merely for compliance, but for awareness. Let it reveal your patterns, your obstacles, your breakthroughs. Use repetition to sharpen your attention, like honing a blade, not once, but again and again, until clarity cuts through confusion with ease. Reflect on your progress. Ask what it shows about your mind, your priorities, and your habits. Let the practice become a mirror to yourself. Notice how it strengthens your resolve on difficult days and deepens your humility on easier ones. Repetition is not about routine. It is about becoming. It is not about ticking boxes, but about shaping identity. Each cycle, each return to your chosen practice, reinforces the person you are committed to becoming. Not occasionally, but daily. Not until it is a task, but until it is effortless. Until the values you admire cease to be distant ideals and instead form the foundation of how you live. This is the Stoic way. Quiet, deliberate, enduring, and transformative.